continuing with the talents part. It's, somebody's got Matthew 25 verses 24 and 25. All right, that's what I'm talking about. You're already there, right?
Then the servant with one bag of silver came and said, Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back.
All right, so the question is, what was the third servant's excuse for not investing the master's money?
He was afraid he would lose it.
Good. Anybody else care to elaborate?
I just put the same, pretty much same. It says he used the excuse that the master was a hard man, yet the fact that he was afraid, so kind of blaming the master instead.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting blame.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Which is easy to do, because you're trying to take the focus off yourself. Tia does it to me all the time. Yeah, okay, maybe the other way around.
Did you just do it right there? He was giving an example.
That's
Yeah, that's an example. Anybody else? What was the third servant's excuse for not investing the master's money?
lazy.
Hmm?
Lazy. I look at it as somebody that doesn't go above and beyond. That barely, I mean, there's an absolute minimum.
Very minimal.
I was just holding on to. I'm holding it, yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Motivation.
Huh?
No motivation.
No motivation?
Ignorance.
Ignorance? What else? A bit long side.
No, sir.
Said, what principle is being illustrated by the man's excuse for his inaction?
I wrote that he used was either an escape mechanism, but it was blame shifting. It was his attempt to pass the buck and refuse to take responsibility for his actions. Kind of thinking about like in Genesis 3, 12, 13, Adam and Eve, they're, when they get in trouble, the first thing they do is start, they turn it back. The Lord says, what happened? What'd you do? And he's like, well, that woman you gave me, he's blaming the Lord. And then she says, well, that snake, he did such and such, so everybody's pointing the finger at somebody else and trying to avoid responsibility for what they did themselves.
Anybody? Anybody? Well, I mean, piggybacking off of what Tia said about the laziness, I think to me also is the servant used the excuse because he didn't want to see anybody else benefit from something that he had to do. Being selfish. So if I go and invest money and I give it, it's your money, but I'm the one doing the work to invest it. That's me doing work for you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, you know, now if I was gonna get something out of it, then yes, I would go invest this money. You know what I'm saying? So like if you said, hey, if you go invest this money and I give you 10% of what you're come back with, then you know, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do it then.
Work a little harder.
Yeah.
But he was a servant, so he already knew.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though, but I mean, where the others didn't take into consideration, I mean, their goal was to make the master happy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so they were willing to invest, you know, without having to worry about, and I'm not gonna get any money from this, you know what I'm saying? But they ended up getting money for it, so. So I just think it's interesting that it was all about me, you know, because I'm afraid that, you know, because if I do lose the money, then I know that you're gonna beat me to death. You know what I'm saying?
I think it just shows though that he doesn't know his master.
Yeah, good point.
Because he says, I knew that you were a hard man, but I mean, we look at it, it's a parable, so it's obviously in front of God, and God's not a, you know, condemning God. Like he's not looking for us to strike us down when we make mistakes. So he doesn't truly know his master. Yeah. That was the biggest thing.
Good point.
And the fact that you say that about knowing his master and how the other two, like the one that got 10 talents, the Lord knew, you know, like how much he could work, how over the period of time, what his work history was like. So he got 10, and then the other one got 5. So maybe there was time service. I don't know. If you've been there long, yeah, we're gonna expect you to do a little bit more. Well, this one, maybe he didn't know the Lord as well as the others, but you know, I just know your name. I don't know your, you know, all the, you know, your height, weight, and all that stuff. I just kind of know, okay, his name is Jalen, and that's about it. So that's all he knew was master, you know. I don't know.
Well, but that's what, and his perception of him was incorrect. You know, I mean, he automatically assumed he was a tough. You know, he was.
It didn't take time to get to know him.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, I think, you know, like a lot of us in which we're that way, where you turn around and look at somebody and the person they're not actually the truth. You know, because some people look mean or look tough, and yet they may be like super nice.
Thank you.
Hell.
And humble.
No, I just think it's funny how he used, like you say, shifting blame. How he tried to pull even like you're a hard man, building that into his excuse instead of, you know, this is, I don't know, it's just part of his built-in excuse for not doing what he was supposed to do.
Amen.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I haven't looked at the commentary yet, but I kind of read it over a few times. And the second part of that verse, where it says, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed, I don't really understand that part. Like, what is that representing? Or what is he referring to?
Which,
At the end of
about
24?
26,
No,
24. Gotcha. And so had received the one talent, came forward saying, Master, I knew you are a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed.
But the Lord can do whatever.
No, I'm asking, but what was he trying to say?
Having to work, he could speak it. Let there be light. I mean, did he turn a switch on? Oh, just because he had the authority.
Well, I mean, but if you look at, which we'll get to it here in just a second, in verse 26, the response back from the master. You know what I'm saying? I think it's an excuse. You try to use an excuse, well, you know, you didn't do this. You know, which we'll get into it when he talks about it in 26. So kind of hold on to that, and we'll go into a little bit more when we get to 26. But that is a good question. Says everybody good on the excuse for his inaction? It says, write down something you learned from the following verses about inaction. James 2:14 and James 4:17.
James 2:14 says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them?"
Yeah, go ahead and read James 4:17 and we'll kind of see who wants.
4:17 says, therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin.
So, I mean, what is something you learned from the following verses about inaction? You can start with 2:14 if you want.
I wrote down that even though we're still in verse 14, to kind of sum it up, when you keep going and you read on down through 17, it's like faith without the head. It's like you say that, I have faith, but you're not showing any. It's like you're all talk and no action.
So to me, to a degree, it's as if it's a rhetorical question. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right, you can't say you have one thing and you're not showing it.
Yeah.
Knowing the right thing and not doing it isn't helping them. Or helping.
That's just, and that one is just, to do right and you don't do it. You're sinning and you're choosing to do that. That's just being straight up disobedient.
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of where knowledge and wisdom kind of like show it, you know what I'm saying? Where the difference between the two is kind of displayed? Because you can know so many things, but wisdom is effectively exercising the knowledge. Because there's some people that know everything in the world, but it doesn't mean they're going to apply it. I can know all day long that I work X amount of hours and make this much money, but if I don't do it, then it doesn't. If I don't put it in action, then it doesn't matter.
Good on paper.
Because I think, and even with that, because in the process of works, I mean, works can also be love. Love is action to me. So I mean, if I have faith and yet I see, my sister or my brother need, man, I'll be praying for you. And yet I have what they need.
The Lord gonna bless you.
Yeah.
You go.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it.
Can you say it again? The beginning? You said, say it again about love and action.
Well, I was saying that to me, I mean, just like faith, I mean, love, I mean, where it says faith without works is dead. I mean, love is an action. I mean, to me, if we, if I tell you I love you, but I never get around to showing it, I mean, that's encumbersome to my faith. So I mean, because that's when I go back to in Corinthians, faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. So to me, you can't have faith without love, and then yet you can't have hope without faith. So I mean, all three intertwine with each other, which are the results of our works, because we do it because we love the Father. And so, even to the point where Jesus said, the two greatest commandments, to love the Lord your God with all your heart and to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I mean, both signifying love as an action as opposed to just, hey, I love you, dude. But if I never get around to showing it, then I mean, it's just a loud clanging cymbal to me, which is like false worship. Huh?
1 Corinthians 13.
Yeah.
No, I think you also kind of wanted you to say is like, because you said you see love as an action, but I feel like, because it says faith without, if someone comes to have faith but has no deeds, can such faith save them? And it's like, you said love is an action, but I feel like all of our actions should be inspired by love, or then they're pointless.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's the thing that pushes us to do what we do. Not for, Yeah, not for self gratification.
or to check the boxes.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we do it, you know, as the fuel because we love God. I mean, so we put it into work. Not that I'm looking for a reward when I get to heaven, because obviously we know that, you know, that if that's the intent and that's the goal, then
Right.
you received your reward.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, anybody want to expound a little bit more on 117?
I think Jalen said,
I'm sorry.
talk about, like responsibility and knowledge, and I put, since it says to know what's right and not to do it is sin, it's like, so when you come into the knowledge of, you know, as a believer, what it is that the Father expects of you, then you're, you know, on the hook to come through. So, when you, it's like when you, a little knowledge is dangerous, they say, or whatever, but it's like when you know, then you're
accountable.
you're accountable for it.
Yeah.
And I won't go further, I'll say that for the next thing, because I have another 20.
Yes,
I've always thought that's like one of the main reasons why people don't like you telling them a lot of truth. Because like once I share truth with you, is that you no longer can say like, well, I didn't know. You can't go to that one.
Some people don't like responsibilities.
No, it holds you accountable. It's like, well, now you know. You know, and that's the thing to say, like, okay, well, now that you know that, I mean, you should do better. Now, does that, granted, you know, does that mean like you're gonna score her on the test? Probably not. But even in that, knowing it's like, okay, well, like back at was it 4:17, knowing to do good, not doing it, sin. Okay, well, then you know what you know, as a believer, you know what you should, you know, do with that, you know, but to do it, I'm gonna be off to a whole nother deal. But I'll just stop at that and just say like, this truth holds you accountable to.
To accountability.
Greg said, faith without actions or deeds is like giving a textbook answer for a real world scenario. It's ineffective. It sounds good, but it doesn't meet the needs.
Amen. When I think about like that one, you know, I think it's in James, where he talks about looking at your face in the mirror and then walking away.
That's James.
Yeah. And it's you know, that's the way truth is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, once the truth has been acknowledged, for you to act like you don't know it, because whether everybody in the room knows whether you know the truth or not, you know you knew the truth, and guess who else knows that you knew the truth? God.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And that's always the thing, like, I guess, like, with, I don't know, it's anybody, but I always, you know, when you raising kids, man, you know, you try to cover everything and, you know, but you ultimately get to that place where, you know, like, you can't be, you know what I'm saying, you can't be everywhere they're at and all that, you know, but and you share that message that, you know, it's one thing to get over on mom or dad or whoever, get over on them, but there's no getting over on God.
yeah,
You know, he's like, wherever you go, it's like, I'm there. It doesn't, you know, so again, that's getting into more like, you know, I guess you're accountable.
yeah.
You know?
Well, it's James 1:22. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in the mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and at once forgets what he was like. But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and preserves, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing. Which again is the truth, because we know that the word is the truth. So, and to me, if you're not doing it that way, then your testimony is ineffective. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't care if you preach, I don't care if you sing, if your lifestyle is contrary to what you're trying to teach or sing about.
It takes the power away from you. You
Yeah.
can't even, I mean, I said this, why, I've been in a position like we have to like teach or lead something and you may be like, not where you're supposed to be, or you like in the midst of like, at odds with this spouse or whatever. And man, it's like, you can't do it. I mean, you can go through the motions, but it's not, there's no power behind it. It's like, it's basically like, it's you doing it. It's just you doing it. There's no help. There's no help there along with it.
The Holy Spirit's not endorsing it.
It's just you. So it's like, man, this is bad.
Yeah.
And I think even if in the event that nobody else knows it, you know it and you can feel it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Man, this is not, and you know the difference.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
If you don't, there's a problem.
Yeah. There's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And it says, what has God given you that you have hidden in the ground and needs to be unearthed by you and to work for the master?
Digging it up.
So what talent, no matter what it is, I mean.
Kind of goes to what you were, part of what you shared on Sunday. To a degree.
Yeah. Our uniqueness, spiritually and physically.
Because you could have that spiritual uniqueness and not be shared.
Well, and even that, you may not even know that you buried it, but the Lord gave it to you, but you kind of ignored it to a degree that, you put it on the back burner or did whatever. I mean, it's kind of like, for me, I'll be honest, working with you, I wanted and tried to bury that on several occasions. Not that I don't mind youth or mind working with them, but, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I want to do something. And it's not necessarily I want to use the word bigger because it's not bigger, but I want to do something, different, something that I'm not always around kids because you feel like, I don't understand them completely like I used to back then. But I think that's just an excuse for me trying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I know for me, that's one of the things that I've tried to bury. And it, I don't know if I keep digging it up or if he keeps digging it up, but it keeps getting dug up, I can tell you that one.
I don't say very, but I'll say that it just hasn't, I guess, I wrote teaching and prayer, but when I pray, and I don't mind praying, and I feel like, I think that like the teaching aspect of it, I guess, just because of our situation as it is now, it I don't know how it presents itself. Maybe the fact that it hasn't happened, that I like that it's like a dusty, it's sitting on a shelf kind of gift. So it just needs to be. It's not like it's hidden. It's just it's in plain sight.
The opportunity hasn't presented itself.
Right. That's what.
And so the question is to me, to a degree, so is that something that you pray about, Lord, open up the opportunity for me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be even in this kind of setting, you know what I'm saying? Because I think the opportunity to teach is available on different occasions, I guess, per se.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, because that's the reason I say study, that's why I say studying the word sometimes. Me to study for a sermon is totally different than how I study it when I'm teaching. For me to teach, it's totally different how I study it for myself. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? So, you're gonna say, bro?
I was just going to ask everybody, like, I think sometimes people can, the parable should make it, evident, but I think, I think there are some people that don't even believe that either because for whatever reason, like, does everybody understand that you even have something that God's given you to be able to, like, to use in order to be able to, like, to, whether it be sharing with others or something to, like, to bring to the, kingdom, but I'm not worried about it, but just, does everybody even understand that everybody has something like you said, 'cause
Offer in his service, because anything you do to the least of these, you're
that's
doing that to him, so we have to be able to do it
right.
to
And I said
others.
because sometimes people can think that, well, he's like, well, it's too dead and buried, it's too gone, or or it gets into a question like, well, me, I'm not, or this isn't significant enough, or like Debo always shares, like, when we're in a meeting, whether it's like in this type of setting or at home or whatever, it's like, well, everybody has something to offer. You know what I mean? And that's how, because God has purpose for. I think that's important to know that, everybody has something to offer. Yes, sir.
I think there's one thing that everybody can offer, regardless of what you think. Like additionally, and I think that's just like your testimony, because like I know we used to talk about it a while back. Is like some people would feel like their testimony is inadequate because they didn't have this 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 traumatic conversion. It's like, well, there's somebody out there that they never grew up. They grew up in the church. They grew up always being around church, but they could use and hear that, okay, someone else has been in the situation. I'm not alone in that. So that's something I think everybody can offer. It's just being like available and kind of just kind of reaching out to people.
Well, I think interesting point. I mean, their testimony alone is an opportunity for them to use the talent. Like you said, it doesn't matter whether it's God delivered me from drugs, whatever. It's, each testimony, because I know when we were at One Way, there was a young lady that was, I just wish I had a more bigger testimony, and that's what I shared with her. I'm like, somebody needs to hear your testimony. Because that's just so important, because again, it goes back to knowing the master. You know what I'm saying? So I may not know the master the way you do or came to know him.
But that's not for you compared to.
Yeah, but it's still as significant, because both of us needed to come to a relationship with the master.
Because the same way me and you met may not be the same way that
Yeah.
you and the next person. Meet in different ways. So we could have met on bad terms.
We could have.
We didn't, but what I'm saying.
So I guess not only that, not if you've even buried it. So my question would be, is there people here that feel as though you're not for sure what talent God has given you to use for His service?
I'll say that there was a time where I felt like I lost it.
That's good.
Like
I didn't take advantage of it. It's kind of like, I just didn't use it for long enough. And like, I thought of it like anything else. Like I used to play the guitar for a bit, and like I stopped playing for a while, and now like I don't know how to play at all. I lost it. So I thought it was like something like that. I lost that skill. So I thought it was like, that's how I felt about it. But once you go back into it, and you dig deeper, you kind of realize like, no, you didn't lose it. Like it was there. You just weren't digging in the right place where you buried it.
I remember growing up and always hearing that, God's given everybody talent. If you don't use it, you won't use it. I agree. I just love to sing. I can't hold a tune now. And because I stopped. One thing I can't get away from, even though I don't really have you're going to school for a finance background, I don't have a finance background. But I always gravitate toward every church I've been in. I've been on the finance committee, and nothing I'm not kidding. And even at the previous church, I said I am not going to serve on that finance committee, and the pastor left me alone for a whole year, and I forgot about it. I was like, yes, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and the whole year rolled around, and he sends me a text message. Sis, it's been a year. So it's like that position was holding for me to be ready to jump in. Yes.
So he gave you another bag? He gave you another bag of silver?
Oh.
The master gave another bag.
Yeah,
We're going to try this
One more time.
She got the one bag from the one that didn't do nothing.
Okay.
So,
I'll say, like, and I shared this with, I don't know, I share with him every day. And like with Trey, because you can see talents in other people,
Mhm.
and when you see that, it can be your children, it could be a friend, it could be whoever, and I think it's good for us to like encourage that, like, man, you could, you could be like so awesome at this, you can be great at this. I'm trying to keep encouraging that because, especially the time people are like young, because they may not see it. Yeah, they might not see when they're young, but like, man, if you just, just look, just put it in the bank. You ain't gotta go crazy like investing. Just put it like in the money market account. Minimum growth, but you growing, scaling. But you get the sum aside, because if you put it on the ground, there's not gonna be any return on it at all.
Right.
And I know for a fact, like there's everybody in this room, there's something that like I said, sometimes the young people you may not necessarily see it, but like I know I've shared with Trey, I've shared with Tamika a bunch of times. She has a tremendous amount of talents, but see it and grab it and go.
And the fact that you encourage that in itself is a gift,
That's good.
because it's, exhortation.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
And I wrote this down the other day, and I don't know if it makes sense or not, but I feel stronger when I'm encouraging other people. Sometimes I go through I go through these cycles like where, because I believe everybody needs to be encouraged, and like sometimes I go like I'll write. I mean, I got so many, I don't want to call them lessons, but like devotions in this phone, so I write them. So I send them to people, and I get people like, "Oh my God, this is like I needed this today, whatever, and I just I don't know. I don't want to say maybe strength, but like it's motivating, and I guess it's kind of encouraging in itself, because it's not. And some of them, yeah, they're like intended for me, but some of them are just like, that thing is God puts in my heart. Sometimes I may send it to just one or two people, but it happens to be the right one or two people, and
Okay.
This is Greg. He said he's referring to his work. He said we spoke about caring for the patient and the legality surrounding our responsibilities as a first responder. And the term wanton negligence was mentioned, meaning that the rules and protocol, however you choose to still violate the set standards that have been set in place. Many times we as believers are guilty of this very thing in regards to sharing our faith in whatever capacity that is. Regardless of our gifts, we still all have the same underlying message to give, and that is the plain truth of the gospel in Christ's death and resurrection for our sins. Regardless of how great our testimony or gift is irrelevant. The greatest testimony of all time is Christ's life. To keep that from those who don't know him is almost a crime to an extent, like Debo mentioned this past Sunday about not sharing our faith.
Well, it was typing fast. I'd be like, and we have no, that's a great point. Great point. Well, and I when you said buried the talent, what do we bury?
Dead stuff.
Dead stuff.
yeah.
So I mean, to me, in a degree, I mean that talent to that guy was just as good as dead as it was alive. So he wasn't going to do anything whether he buried it or not. But in his eyes, this is a dead situation. So I'm just burying it. I'm done with it. And so I mean, again, going back to asking the Holy Spirit, I mean, what is it that I have within myself that can be used for the glory and the honor of your kingdom? And can you reveal that to me so that I'm operating in what God's talents that he's given me rather than trying to operate outside of it? The other day, it's just like prayer. I mean, prayer is the opportunity for us to unleash the power of God on what we pray about. But I mean, as a parent, I know what my child needs, but sometimes we wait for them to ask us so that, we know that they need it. And so, I mean, and that's one of the things I think that we have to start getting in the habit of doing. Because again, I really truly believe Yeah, we need to ask God. I mean, give me prophetic words. Give me words of life to people, so that, because like you're talking about, the encouragement, so that I can make an impact in their life, not for me, but so that they know that I do serve you. You know what I'm saying? And they know that you are real. So, I mean, I think that's just, but I just thought about that when you said buried that talent. I'm just like, well, the only thing we bury is stuff that's dead.
I feel like that's where the problem comes in, though, is we allow ourselves, other people, what we think others might think, we allow those things to influence like where we look for our talents from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like instead of us, like say we feel like we don't have a talent, instead of us asking God, what's my talent, or asking to reveal it to you, we look for something else on our own, or we look for what someone, you would be great in the blank blank, you know what I'm saying, in the XYZ ministry. And it's like, well, that's not what God has, you know what I'm saying, not that person. So I think is being able to, and if that's something God gave that person, you know, that's different. But I think it's something where you should also, like you said, ask God yourself and ask him, can you reveal to me what it is, what's my talent, and how can I use that talent? You may already have it, but you may not know that that's a talent. So how can I use it? And just kind of just reevaluating how you look at the gifts and talents he's already given you.
If God gave it to somebody else, he's going to confirm with you.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to just, I think, like you said, a lot of people can get like way off course by allowing somebody else to dictate like with their, you know, with that talent.
Yeah.
I also think that if you don't know, if you're like somebody that's not sure what it is that you're gifted at, do something. I mean, you can volunteer in XYZ ministry. Just let me check it out. Let me try it a couple of weeks or so, you know, to see maybe, oh no, this is not for me. I am not in the baby ministry, or, you know, you'll know right away, you know, after giving it, you know, give it 30 days, whatever. And you go, Lord, is this, oh no. And you know, I'm supposed to be doing something else, and just keep staying busy, but don't do nothing, you know.
Got a good question. Just came in. Greg asked, Christ has already overcome the grave, so why as believers do we try to bury him again? One time was enough.
Well, and I think that just goes back to to me, the guilt that we have, or the shame, or we don't think we deserve. So we want him to reenact everything that he did over again, rather than claiming the victory that we have on what he did one time, and that's the only time he needed to do it.
I think that goes with having to transform your mind, though, because within your earthly state of mind, like that doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I messed up. I gotta go back to the beginning and start over again.
I gotta fix it.
Yeah, I gotta go redo it. And it's like, no, he already anticipated that. Keep going forward. It's kind of like you slip and fall, you go the way from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, no, pick up from where you're at and keep going forward.
Well, and that's the enemy, because the enemy wants you to start over.
Well, that's one thing we talk about quite a bit. It's like
Go back to start.
like how, and I don't know that I have an answer for it, but like it's always, and I was sharing this with somebody the other day, like how, I guess it's just like bad news. And me and Greg talked about it, how bad news spreads. It's like people want to hear. If you go look on the computer, there's not many like good stories in the news.
There's not.
You know, it's like, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, that happened. You know, it's no good. And so it's the same thing. I feel like what shouldn't be what believers, but it is like, you know, we were readily put on that code of like shame, guilt, condemnation, all the things where those are things that we know don't come from Christ. I mean, yes, the Spirit convicts us, but it doesn't convict us to the point of being like, just like, you know, all that stuff comes from other people, you know, put on us, and even like what you do put on ourselves, and what the enemy puts on us, and, you know, versus going back to those things, like you said, renewing your mind, like, you know, and I think we have to do it every day, because I have to remind myself that, you know, where my identity really is, because what you believe about yourself is going to change your
reaction.
Yeah. You know?
Perception is everything.
And Greg was just clarifying. He said when he said by burying him again, he was talking about keeping the greatest gift of salvation to ourselves.
Huh?
Well,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
sometimes you don't even feel like, I think that's another thing. Like depending on where you're at in your, I think when people come to Christ at first, it's like, this is great, you know, this passion, energy, there's all this stuff going on, and
It's a 100-yard dash.
yeah, and so what happens along the way though, it's like this guy, I'm reading this book by this guy, and it's this book, and it's talking about, it's a tough read. This book is talking about sexual idolatry, and he's talking about like how all this stuff, I mean, this guy's been through like all kinds of stuff, and so, and he finally got to the point where he said, where he came to Christ, you know, he came to take a relationship with Christ, and he's like, I'd love to be able to tell you that after that everything was like all good. He's like, but that's not how the story ended, you know. And I think sometimes if you're in that position, like, you know, you come out, like I said, you out the blocks, you running, you sharing stuff, and then if something goes wrong, you fall, you see it or whatever, and it's like, and it's just like all that when you had in that cell, it just like, it just takes all that down, and you're like, and the last thing is on your mind is like sharing with anybody, because you got this whole back to the whole the guilt and all this stuff, like, well, I'm not gonna tell somebody about this, and I'm not, you know, you start putting that on verses, like you say, just okay, you know, get up, get back up, and keep, you know, get back in the race. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The objective, the goal is like to keep running, is to keep us to finish the race, not just. I mean, think about it, if you
like hurdles.
it's like hurdles, you know.
If you clip one, it's gonna slow you down a little bit, but are you gonna just stop? Or are you gonna keep going?
Keep going.
Well, I mean, nowhere in the Bible tell us that we're supposed to have that attitude. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell us we're supposed to have that attitude. Throw in the towel.
No.
You know, I mean, in fact, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's what, to piggyback off what Nina said and what Jalen talked about, because to me, one of the greatest things that made the youth ministry we had so effective is not one person did we ask to go into the position that they were in. They were all led by God, even to the point where Wonder Boy, I mean, just going around picking up gum. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, making the kids spit out. But I mean, it was all God ordained. That's the reason why I get frustrated when I see people ask other people, well, I think you would be great at leading the men's ministry. Well, is that just your opinion, or have you prayed about that? And so, you know, you're trying to put them in a position that God intended them to be. But I mean, when God puts them in that position, then that ministry flourishes. You know, so I mean,
I remember what Greg had to say, and then I'm going to enter something real quick. He said, knowing how God sees us is essential, but I also believe having an equal understanding of the enemy and how that plays a huge role in determining whether or not we pursue it plays a huge role in determining whether or not we pursue sharing our faith. Guilt, shame, depressing tactics, all negativity come from the enemy. And I think a lot of things that we say, like how we view ourselves, if it's in a negative light, that's where it's coming from, like initially. We don't just wake up and think of ourselves like, oh, I'm a failure. You know, like that's not how we were wired. So that's all originating from him.
which all spawns back to what we've discussed on many occasions is, I mean, nobody has to teach anybody how to be bad. You don't have to teach a kid how to lie. I mean, so when we allow the enemy to get that seed in our head that we're failures, then, you know, and you'll see people, I mean, they actually woe is me all the time. You
I
know,
call them Debbie Downers.
yeah, so I mean, but and God did not create us to be that way. I mean, I gave you life, and I gave you it more abundantly. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so does that mean that we're not going to go through some things? Well, we're going to go through some things. But I mean, at the same time, that doesn't mean we allow those things to keep us down.
This needs to be a part 3
There may need to be a part 3.
before we go into, I mean,
Yeah, before we get into 25 verses 26 through 30. Yeah, I'd say part 3.
part 3.
Does anybody want to add anything on this, what we did today?
We don't say anything now, we don't expect you to say something.
I'll say it's interesting how, I was reading some of the commentary earlier, how in this story, how the master knew, like, he knew exactly how to give everybody what they were capable of handling per se, you know. So I think sometimes like people can have that one like, oh, this is just too much. And it's like, again, kind of going to the whole like their mentality, like, no, because if God gave you that talent, He gave you the ability to be able to handle that one. He's not gonna, you know, if He gave you five, He gave you five because you can take care of five. If He gave you one, like you were supposed to at least handle that one, you know.
But to me, if he's gonna give you more, then too much is given,
Much
much is expected. So I mean, and that's the thing, I mean, I don't know, that's usually why I love Christ so much, is because there's nobody that's got like, a person like Billy Graham. I mean, he's not any more higher in the kingdom than us in this room. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because he uses us as his children, period. And so, I mean, just because you have one talent doesn't mean that God doesn't love you less or more. It's just that that's what he thinks that you have the capabilities of being. But I also do believe this. I do believe that we can pray for God to give us more. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And, I mean, sometimes it may be not right now, or maybe he'll give you a little more. Because I just believe, I think about Jesus on the boat. I mean, he knew what was going on when the winds and the waves were going about. He was in the bottom of the boat. But it wasn't until somebody called on him that he came out. I mean, he's be still, but they had to call him. So I think when it comes to talents, gifts, gifts of the Spirit, I mean, God, the parable of the lady that kept going back, Lord, justify my husband. So, I mean, it's something that you got to continually do. And again, just like we talked about at the assisted living center, you have to seek him. You have to seek him. God, I want them so that your name is glorified. I want them so that more people can come to find out about Nathan DeBoer. I want more people to know about who you are. Because I really am. I'll be 100% honest with everybody in this room. I'm praying that God gives me the ability to heal so that his name is glorified. Because I truly want people to see how real our God is. I want to be able to speak words of wisdom and life into people. Where they just go, man, didn't nobody know that. So God has to be talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So, you got anything, Tim?